Welcome, Fabien.
Hello,
Hi.
Aicha.
This is Bubbles Interviews, where I talk to people who have unconventional career paths, and I want to understand your career and your choices about your education, maybe prior to that. What makes you today? I have some existential crisis questions.
Yeah.
Can we know about you?
Sure. So I'm Fabien. I'm from France originally. I'm close to 40 years old. So of course my education is a little bit different from people accessing education today. I still had to go to libraries to access knowledge, and it was like you go there and then sometimes the book you're looking for, like I didn't have a computer until I was 18, so it was really different for us to learn things.
Where would you go other than if you didn't have library access? Would you go to ask your teachers? What would you do?
Yeah, you would go to the school, but mostly people with encyclopedia was the big thing back in the days, and
Cool people.
those were like very expensive sets, so only very few people could afford to pay 1,000 francs, for example, before the euros to access that. For me, I think it's funny because I went back to France not so long ago, and my mom found my old report cards. And I was pretty shit at school. I was very medium, average, like a C kind of person. But I think I was just not fit for the educational system at that time. I got better at school when I went into things that I was more interested in. So I study mostly economics and mathematics applied to economics. And I stopped at the bachelor. And then I was 20, 21 at that time, and I moved to China to just to take a 6 months sabbatical and try to work and to discover.
Was this like do you think when you look back, was this a strategic thing for you to do? You planned it, or it was an opportunity that if it appeared and you wanted to see and what's going on, see what's happening?
So when I was 18, I went to do NGO work. So I was in Africa and Cambodia, and I think that was really like give me perspective on life. And when I went back to France and back to study again, I always had that itch to go travel again. And then I was inspired by one of my teachers. That was like this very famous geopolitics teacher, and he traveled the world with Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, and I was like, he gave me the passion to be like, okay, I'm just going to go for. And China was fantastic at that time. They were building the Olympics in 2006, and the city was the country.
You were in the Olympics there.
I was there in 2006 when iPhone 1 was coming out, so it was a very different China, and I saw China going from the Hu Jintao to Xi Jinping and how the country changed as a whole for 5 years, and it was really interesting to see a society of 1 billion people transforming like that.
Did you work in economics related to things, or
No. I literally scheduled a week worth of interview in my first week in Shanghai, and I found a job, and I was doing sales calls, selling stuff on the phone, and then I moved to a magazine where I was selling ads, and then I moved to the Facebook, Twitter, and Google, and then into the ad space, ad tech space.
Why did you wanted to work in edtech space? Did you had like it just happened?
It just happened. In China they have this word which is guangxi, which is the network, and everything is based on the network there. And at that point, the social media was the thing.
Here also, no?
Huh?
Here also the network is really important in the Netherlands.
The network is important everywhere, but it's just constructed differently in Asia. In Asia, you talk to one person to access a network of 50 people. Here, you kind of have to find who is the right person before you can access it. It takes a bit of time, but the society is very flat compared to pyramidal in the Netherlands, for sure.
Yeah, I see. So it was fun for you to be in China, that you spent some time there.
It was crazy, yeah. I did 5 years there, then 2 years in Singapore and 8 years in Malaysia, so a lot of Southeast Asia, where I got to experience different cultures, different societies and so on. And
this is the first time I'm interviewing such a person that you've been in Asia. I don't know what to ask about the Asian countries, about the, let's say, tech spaces. Does it differ too much in culture? Do you have some suggestions for people if they want to explore more about being in tech space in Asia?
Yeah, I mean, Asia is very different, right? Like depending on where you go, but Singapore, obviously, it's a very small country.
Very developed.
Very developed, and a lot of tech, a lot of financing as well, and very good startup ecosystem and so on. Malaysia is a little bit bigger. It's a different kind of society as well, but there is a little lag, I would say, in terms of the tech space in Malaysia, unfortunately. But I think they're catching up quite fast. And China, I mean, you know, that since the last time I was there, it's a very different country now, and it's leading in most of the technologies as we see today.
I know that you are doing things around entrepreneurship today. When that it started for you?
So I'm close to 40, so all my 20s was really just figuring things out, you know, working for big tech companies, so Facebook, Twitter, Google for about 10 years. And then 30, I was like, I'm gonna build my first startup. And then, but I think in hindsight, with the arrogance of someone coming from Google that is building his first startup. So I'm the smartest person in the room and I'm gonna make millions and save the world. And then failed beautifully the first 2 times.
What was they were solving? Which kind of problem you were solving?
So the first startup, so I went back to study in my 30s.
To masters? On?
No, because at that time it was EDX and Coursera, they were coming, and then you had access to like quantum computing courses from like Nobel Prize professors from Berkeley University for free, you know, it was crazy to be able to access that. So I went back into certificate myself by just going back to study this realm. And I had to study math in quantum also, and that's why I went back to...
Quantum is coming back also today.
Yeah, but the mathematics was very, like, it's a very probabilistic world, and I was not used to that coming from statistics and all that stuff, so I had to kind of relearn the math at that, so I had a lot of fun doing this. And then I identified that the peer review of scientific research was extremely broken, and I was trying to fix it with a startup. To try to get other PhDs to be able to review research in an open source kind of model, and then that failed because, you know, we had a PhD and a salesperson, but nobody was building business, and then after a while you don't.
It's great that you know what went wrong. That now you can explain clearly.
But I think in hindsight now, again, most of the startups they failed because of that. It's the business case. It's how do you build a company? Because
when you say, excuse me,
yeah,
when you say business, do you mean about the scaling growth or something else? The business, like business model, or how do you? What is going wrong usually?
Like most of the startups at the beginning, they have their core kind of idea, and then they will develop different different features of the product. And because they get maybe a client and the client wants them to develop very specific things, but sometimes you're stuck, you know, like am I developing features for one client or am I, you know, like not making, is it scalable as a business? And at the end of the day, what really matters for a startup is once you have the features that you need to develop, you need to put another metric, which is like how much money does it actually bring to the business. And if you are like do a simple scoring, it allows you to prioritize how to develop your roadmap of tech and product based on how you grow the company. Otherwise, you develop features and features and features that doesn't make money, that doesn't grow the business, and that ends up creating a lot of technical debt. So you always need to focus on, okay, what problem am I solving? Why am I solving this feature? Why am I building these features? What problem does it solve? And then how much money you're willing to pay for it.
I see. That was a crash course on startup building. Thank you. Sometimes it sounds like the technical people fall in love with their product and they keep developing products and so on. Then that sounds familiar. I observed this. I hope they figure out great. What was the second startup? Maybe there are many things in between.
Yeah.
I know that you were like a person who been giving interviews, magazines, that you are famous.
No, the second one was in energy. In Malaysia, you could resell your extra electricity from back to the grid, your residential electricity. So we built some kind of box to collect the data and then send it back to the grid so that they could collect money. And then with that, we managed to raise a bit of funds and to make revenue, then raise a bit of funds and then managed to exit. And then that after 15 years was like the trigger point for me to, okay, now what do I do with my life? And I came back to Europe and settled down in the Netherlands.
Speaking of funds, what are you doing right now, today?
Now, today I am an investor in healthcare startups. So I invest in startups in the Netherlands, anything around diagnostics, around patient monitoring, everything is AI related, and a bit of hardware as well. I think you'll see in AI the line between hardware and software is going to become closer and closer, but what really matters is the data that you're collecting and the AI that you're applying on that data. So I think for me that's the most important focus right now to invest in.
Was there a specific reason that you wanted to do health industry more than the other things?
So I built a startup studio after when I first moved here, and then with Sébastien we built together about 80 startups in 4 years. Oh. Yeah, it was crazy. We grew the company and then we opened in 3 countries. It was a fantastic human experience. And we did quite a lot of startups on healthcare around menopause tracking, around mental health, around stuff like that. And you could really see the problem that you were solving there. It's very tangible when you're focusing on healthcare, like you're improving, healthcare professionals. You are, that actually have impact on patients that you can monitor. So I think that was an immediate kind of impact. And then I managed to find an incredible team that also had tremendous experience in that field. And the Netherlands is extremely strong in there. You have fantastic universities here.
Which university is better for healthcare? I don't know about
so this. I think MedTech, Eindhoven is very strong, but I think everywhere, you have Enschede, which is fantastic. You have Groningen, that has amazing ecosystem there. You have TU Delft, of course. Amsterdam has a fantastic.
University is really the place that starts the information to get into the business, maybe.
It starts usually with PhDs, doctors that are identifying markers of cancer somewhere, and then they're trying to build a product, or it's solving from people who are experts in strokes that improve the model of recognizing it through imaging and stuff like that. So it starts with an invention, and then how do you actually take the IP, the tech, turn it into a product, and then turn it into a business.
Can we talk about this? You mentioned Sébastien, and then you are still keep working together, and I don't know if it's the same about the tech makers, and I want to ask about the community that you grew, and the office is maybe a bridge to do that.
So the story is that I arrived here with Sébastien. Sébastien and I arrived about the same time, and he was in Singapore before, where he sold his company.
You didn't meet in Singapore?
No, we didn't meet. We met here, and then we kind of intellectually fell in love, and then we rented a very small office together, and we bought the beer tap machine, and then we're like, let's create a meetup and invite startups to come pitch their idea, and that's how we started the Tech Makers. It was just a couple of people to come and pitch. The first Tech Makers was 5 people.
No, it's very crowded.
That's correct. But the first one, I don't know, Ahmed from Essentia was there, so little kudos in his the first time. And then we grew the community to 4,000 people. But that's basically just a foundation where we just host startup pitches, and once in a while we do bigger events like the AI for Good stuff. And then, but Sebastian and I, after that, we worked together. So we built a startup studio, which is different from Tech Makers. It's called Celego, and then that's how we built the business together. So I exited that business last year operationally. So I'm still a board member, but I'm not in the operations there. And now I'm 100% focused in building the fund.
When you said the growing the community, I know recently the French television came to Tech Makers. How was it? What did
it was
you feel?
good. So Julien won a contest by Le Petit Journal, which is a very famous entity in France. And then we got invited to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to receive a prize. And the France 24 came and record the experience in Amsterdam. So that was great. Yeah, it was good to have French TV there.
Yeah, you are getting more popular across also in Europe as well as Tech Makers. That's really great. Do you have, I have last two questions and I see that my laptop says low battery, so I'm getting nervous. So I have a small question very quickly. Maybe if you would have to give an advice to people have growing tech communities, what would be a good advice? And I have a surprise for you.
Okay. Oh, wow. I think what I love about Amsterdam is there's a lot of people building communities, and I know you are also building your own, so I find that super cool. Don't forget to ask what you need from the community to understand what you need to grow. I think there is a lot of people willing to help here. You have different locations, you have different venues, it's just a matter of asking what you need. There is a lot of people doing this. I like people who go to events because it means that they have that curiosity to, instead of going for a drink, they go meet random people.
Exactly. I don't want to meet a coffee. Let's go to an event together and learn things together.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. It's for me, people who do that have always a special place in my heart because it's the first step of curiosity that this triggers. Is like, let's go out. Yeah. Myself now, I do 2-3 events a week because I think it's very important.
Yeah, I see it there every event. You see you.
But that's how it works. People are like, I see you everywhere, but like it actually takes effort to spare time and also mental energy. We talk a little bit about also mental health and stuff like that, but like it's a mental effort to go there. But I think it's how you actually build a network. It's how you actually build a community. It's constantly going outside and meet new people, building incredible things and see how you can help them or they can help you or you can build things together.
Yeah, thank you. So I have, this is the Bubbles interview.
Yes, thank you. I love it. I still have the last one.
Great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will ask my last question.
Sure.
When people ask you, so we make bubbles and I ask, when people ask you, what did you wanted to when you grow up? What was your answer? Do you remember?
I think, obviously I've always wanted to be an astronaut and stuff like that when I was a kid. But I feel like there is a version of myself in a parallel universe that does experimental physics on a quantum computer, in playing with lasers in a lab. Yeah. I think that would be something I would be extremely happy to do. But also life is stages, right? Like the person I was at 20, 25, every 5 years you have big wave of changes in your life, and it's not just work, it's also your family, your personal life, and sometimes everything's good, sometimes everything's bad, and it's just a roller coaster, and it's about just really be surrounded with the people that support you when you go through that shit. I think that's super important. But now at closer to 40, I'm really the happiest I've been. And,
great. When is your birthday? I see this here.
7th of February. Okay. So next year.
There is plenty of months.
Plenty of time for that. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aisha.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Doei.